Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It is a blustery, stormy day on the island today.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So there's this weird weather pattern I've noticed here, which is that it often starts off like this in the morning, and then by the evening it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And you get like a golden sunset with all kinds of colors and clouds, and it's just great. Did I talk about this last week? This feels familiar. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think you talked about being on the vineyard, but yeah, not the storms.
Yeah, so fingers crossed it's nice later for my daily swim. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Spencer and Joel have been out here. So we got a chance to do like a strategy walk and talk, which was really nice. Like we walked into town and talked a little bit. Like we talked while we were walking. We stopped for a little bit. We talked. We moved to a new location. We talked. We just did kind of like this like roving nomadic strategy sesh. It was kind of awesome.
Honestly, in my experience, that is the best way to do like business strategy. Rob and I used to take walks like for hours and hours when we were building Drip. A couple times we would do like these founder retreats. We'd go to the Central Coast and just like rent an Airbnb and then just spend most of the time like walking around San Luis Obispo or, hopping between coffee shops. It's just so good for thinking.
Totally. Yeah, it worked great. And then we'd be kind of tired of walking for a little bit, so we grab a bench and sit and talk in a beautiful spot, looking at the ocean or some gorgeous grove, and then move again. And it worked really nicely.
Nice, that's great.
So I think this quarter we're gonna promote Tuple to 1.0.
Was it not 1.0?
It's currently 0.91, I believe.
Okay, all right.
So yes, and there have been other smaller releases. So I think we're at like over 100 releases at this point for sure.
What constitutes 1.0? Like,
well, it's a very clear and non-arbitrary distinction.
Right.
So we've been talking about it for a while. It's starting to feel 1.0, where it's like, okay, like the basics are working well. With this recent release of the CPU and latency improvements, plus the wrapping up of the sort of large extraction of the common elements into an engine that is cross-platform, that it's feeling like, okay, the major architectural work is done, or is it a new level? There's some there's some justifications I could give that say like this is why, but it is honestly pretty arbitrary, right? It's like we've been out for years at this point. So it's partially an attitude and partially a marketing opportunity. So I think we're going to try to do a free month in celebration, basically. Like, hey, we think the app is really good. We'd like a lot of people to try it. What can we do to remove all the barriers to entry for that? And try to make a big to-do of it this quarter.
Nice. Yeah. Good marketable event. I mean, it's hard because when we're in the business of creating things that are just sort of continuously improving, you kind of miss out on like the marketing opportunity that comes along for like a desktop app that you buy a version of, and it's like version 3.0 is out, and then you can make a big splash. So yeah.
I've seen you and other people doing a good job of kind of looking for these ways to kind of giving you an excuse to talk about the product again or to sort of trumpet it a decent amount. So I guess you could another good option is kind of like working very in public. So if you're constantly streaming your work or whatnot, that can be a nice way to kind of have an excuse to keep talking about things in a way that feels authentic, but also having a major release of some kind is like a nice version of that, I think.
I think I talked about this a little bit last time, but Corey and I were strategizing this week about some improvements we can make to the marketing site, and the fact that like we have a lot of features that are piling up, and a lot of these things now newer people who are kind of evaluating the product aren't necessarily aware that they even exist. And
boy, is that my life.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, you struggle with the same thing. And one of the ways to help surface that is to do these little launch events. And like we came up with a couple more ideas on like, we could potentially do a product hunt launch around this. Partially as a way to just create a marketable like splash or whatever, but also to like drive awareness towards something that I just assume that people know exists, but turns out some people don't.
Do you have a sense of how that like last product hunt effort went? Can you see a bump in trials or signups that day?
Definitely a bump in like a little bump the day of, and then volume in the weeks afterward has just been higher overall. So like our trial count is sitting about, I think, 20 trials higher than it normally is at this point in the month or whatever. So a lot of these things just sort of contribute to an overall subtle lift in numbers. Like not like a lot of these things don't like create a huge inflection change in the graph or whatever, but just kind of contribute to overall volume, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that makes sense. It's the work of marketing. It's probably hard to have marketing events that reliably generate large lifts, but you're kind of hoping to increase the baseline.
Yep. That's basically what we're going for.
Yeah. So we've also been working on, I'd say we're getting more enterprisey, not as a company, but in terms of like what we can support as a company. We've been having some good success signing up these larger organizations, and they often have these pretty much non-negotiable clauses around things that we need to agree to do to be a software vendor for them. So we're like sort of increasing our efforts there. One of those is just like finding a lawyer. We have a couple candidates, and we're gonna make a choice here soon because we're reviewing and signing and debating and all this stuff, more and more legal documents. So it feels kind of like the right time to have some help there.
So you're just getting a lot more. Is this sort of initiated by customers, like they're wanting to amend terms or make like open specific contracts with you or something, and you want to have more legal rigor on your side? Is that kind of the impetus?
Yeah, we're doing more and more. Like we have a standard agreement that we hope people are cool with signing, but sometimes they're not. And so we have to start from their document, which then requires like a full review from us. And we're trying to have a backstop of an expert that we can ask specific questions to, but also to sort of generate or like to ask this person enough questions to bring enough knowledge in-house that we feel comfortable reviewing a lot of these ourselves.
Yep. That makes sense.
Kind of getting someone to say like, here's what's standard. Here's, you probably shouldn't be flexible on this because this is actually a huge deal, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Where do you guys stand on like some of the more standardized compliance things you can do, like SOC 2 at this point?
We are not SOC 2 certified or compliant or whatever. People ask about it. I think it can be a kind of nice shortcut for making the security compliance stuff easier. But I don't think we've failed to get through any security reviews in a while without it. That's another element of this is getting we're contractually bound now to have annual security pen tests, things like that. But we also have a managed bug bounty program through Federacy, so we're sort of always getting security researchers pounding on the service, and we're doing these regular tests which are that we're paying for more directly and that sort of thing. Our security page, I just put a lot of details on our tuple.app/security talking about that answers sort of the most common questions, like what's the architecture look like, talk to us about encryption levels, things like that. And we've also have just sort of gotten more sophisticated security-wise. We just sort of keep layering things on. We're looking into right now this app that you install on laptops, and it kind of reports back to the mothership about hey, what are it's kind of like a security audit for your laptop, basically. And it reports back, and so we can just see, okay, across the company, everyone has a password set, and everyone's using this like a firewall or something.
Yeah. I've thought about this a little bit, because we don't deal with the same level of scrutiny that you guys have, because we're kind of not really selling into those types of enterprises just yet, really. I mean, we've had a couple people from larger companies that have asked about security practices, and I think I've even referenced some of your Tuple docs to try to get a way to frame it in a way that's lightweight, but kind of gets to the core of it and hopefully eliminates objections. There was a flurry of questions around this at one point, and then they've sort of died down, but multiple people asking are you going to be SOC 2 compliant? At what point do you plan to? Is it on your roadmap? They were wanting at least a verbal commitment. And I think overall, for a company like mine, it feels way too early. I know companies that cross 100 million in revenue and still don't have SOC 2. So, it's I think it's a bit overkill, but also I've been considering like when is the right time to start looking at like what does it take to be SOC 2 and start like implementing some of the best practices from that framework, so that at the point when maybe it does make sense, like you're already kind of doing a lot of those things. And that you probably already are, honestly, like, because a lot of it's about like putting controls in place, I think, and like making sure that you're following best practices in a really rigorous way.
Yep.
But
yeah, from what I've heard from pretty pragmatic people is that it's a reasonable set of things to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so a lot of it is just about sort of adequately proving to someone that you are doing those things regularly.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. It's fair. It seems to be fairly heavyweight and take a decent amount of time and money to prove your compliance with it. I haven't heard from people that the elements of it are silly or something.
Right. So yeah, it's good. Like, good to be thinking about like complying with the spirit of it, at least for now, and then like, you know, at some point get really official about it when you're ready to kind of bite the bullet and spend the money and the time cost to like have all the auditing and everything in place.
Yep. And again, I don't think we've been turned down by almost anybody for security reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, you know, running in some pretty security sensitive places for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Talking to Stripe when they were considering using us, they asked us about our pen test or something, but they were like, also, we're gonna like try to break your software ourselves, which I thought was pretty awesome. They're just like, can we get a copy of the client so the security team can like, you know, poke at it? And I was like, ooh, I like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. To be big enough to have just people on staff who are like, we just vet the tools that we adopt internally.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent. So I agree with your assessment that like SOC 2 for you seems very early and also kind of overkill. Like, I think at the end of the day, you have like a token to like read and create calendar events. That feels like pretty lightweight to me.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the questions that have come in so far from it is really just kind of from someone who works at a company that's large enough and they have kind of a cranky security team that's like kind of, maybe they were having a bad day or something. So they were just like wanting to be extra rigorous for no really good reason. Like not in a pragmatic sense, but just like looking for boxes to be checked. I honestly haven't encountered that a ton because I feel like that's kind of not the norm. Like most of the time people are wanting to be reasonable and stuff like that. But I guess if you encounter a really cranky security team, they can just kind of sometimes shut it down if you don't check that box.
Yeah. So I think also like when people are adopting Tuple, it's the engineers that want it. And I think engineering usually, I think, tends to have a lot of capital, like social capital in a company. So it's probably harder for them to say, no, you can't use this tool than like some other person with perhaps less clout saying, hey, I want to use this scheduling tool. And they're like, no SOC 2, rejected.
Yeah. And honestly, like it was encouraging to me also when it's really only happened a couple of times, but one of these conversations in particular, like I was trying to do my best to explain like the way we handle data, the way we store it is, you know, encrypted at rest, all the things. So there was a little bit of a back and forth happening with their security team. And then the person I was talking to mentioned like, yeah, we've been going back and forth with Calendly too. And it's like, okay, well, Calendly is obviously many, many, many times larger than me. And they're still like suspicious of Calendly's security. So it's like, yeah, if they're like putting them under scrutiny, then I understand why they're putting me under scrutiny because I'm much smaller, you know? But it just kind of felt like they're scrutinizing for the sake of scrutinizing at that point.
Yes, we put all vendors through the same excessive scrutiny regardless of size.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw a scheduling tool the other day, and on their comparison page, they showed how they stacked up to Calendly and SavvyCal.
Yeah, I think I saw the same one, and
I was like, Derrick's made it. Look at that.
I know. It was pretty awesome to see, actually. And what's funny is I think that page has driven, especially when that particular company has done like some marketing pushes, like it drives a bit of traffic to my site. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah.
So yeah, you made the big time. You're big enough to be mentioned by name and competed with directly.
Right. Yes. To be put on one of those little stupid grids of checkboxes that are always extremely uncharitable to everyone else that they're comparing against.
Yeah, a lot of the good news is you were there. The bad news is a lot of red X's, Derrick.
Yeah, it was basically all red X's.
It was, yeah. It's like 12 things, 1 check mark, 11 X's. That's great.
Yeah. But the same company that is, saying that I basically shouldn't exist has copied a lot of my UI elements too on their site.
It did look awfully familiar.
Yeah.
I was getting some extremely familiar vibes from some of those pages, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Wow. So flattering.
I know.
And not at all annoying.
No, of course not.
Yep. Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is happening in SavvyCal world?
Yeah. So just been kind of still chugging along on product stuff. I shipped a feature called proposed time. Did I talk about this already?
I don't think so.
Okay. That basically lets people click a button in the UI and see the same like demo view of their link, and then they can pre-select times that they want to pass along to someone, and then click a button and it copies a snippet to their clipboard that they can paste into emails. This is sort of like step one on like my broader theme of like embedding SavvyCal deeper in people's workflows. There's been a lot of demand for like just in general like browser extensions and a Gmail like plugin where you have a button right there next in your little palette of commands where you can like insert stuff. So definitely edging deeper into that. I think probably the next big initiative will be, I think, a Chrome extension where you can kind of like click a thing and see a little flyout with all your links, and then grab like a proposed time snippet and inject it in an email, and then the next step beyond that will be something that probably reuses a lot of that code, but brings it even tighter into like a Gmail interface workflow too. So,
nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. I was just thinking, I want that because I use Superhuman as my email client. So I was thinking like maybe an Alfred. Like if you made it API accessible, if I could fire off an Alfred command to like return a thing and use that or something.
Yeah, that's actually. I have some notes about that in a ticket somewhere, because it was actually pretty early on. A customer reached out to me and he had done quite a bit of like hacking himself with like, I don't know if it was AppleScript or one of the like scriptable things you can do to hook into a command launcher. I think it was maybe Alfred, but I'm not sure. And so he had actually like done a bunch of hacky stuff to get it working, like proof of concept in his own setup, which was pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, we definitely should try to like natively support this type of thing. I don't even know what's involved with that totally, but yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Because I think like Superhuman, I don't think you can do official plugins into Superhuman that I'm aware of at this point.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, an Alfred thing I think would work.
Mm-hmm. SavvyCal is definitely one of those types of products where a lot of people don't necessarily want to even log into the interface and use it. Like once they set things up, they kind of want to be able to just, they want it to be there where they need it, right, in context. So I think this is sort of an important direction to move into.
Yeah, like I have Superhuman snippets set up that have SavvyCal links embedded in them, and that's how I use it most of the time. But yeah, like for this use case, every so often it's nice to be able to be like, have that snippet of how about Monday at this time or Tuesday at this time, or if not, grab this thing and go grab it another time.
Yep. Occasionally I'll have conversations with people who are maybe, I would say, a bit more like product minded people. Maybe they're product builders themselves. So I can go and I can have a more in-depth conversation around like problem solving, I guess, with product. And one thing that I'm aware of is like some of the flows right now in SavvyCal don't necessarily align exactly with the way people want to use the product. And I think this is a risk that a lot of products run into. Like, give you an example. I was talking to Brian Castle the other day, and he was like, well, so what I normally do is like I bookmark my scheduling link, and then I click the bookmark link to open it up and look at it before I send it sometimes. And he's like, sometimes I want to make an on-the-fly adjustment. And so he was like frustrated that he couldn't adjust the availability on the preview. It's like, well, the preview is supposed to give you like, you can actually technically like use your own booking link through the preview. So, and then the editing interface looks very similar to the link. So I was like, well, you could just bookmark the editing interface for it. And he was like, I could, but then sometimes I just want to like like right click and copy the URL from the bookmark bar. And so if it's pointing to the edit page, then that won't work. So there's like some little pieces of friction there. And then he was also like, I want to be able to look at it and basically like click a button to duplicate that, create a single use link, and personalize it for the person on the fly. And it's like, oh, that's a really interesting workflow. I don't know if the perfect solution is like a duplicate for single use button. Like maybe that's the right solution, but it's interesting to think about like, how some of the flows that like it makes sense just objectively. You look at the UI and it's like you have a scheduling links page and you can click on them to edit them and then you can click to preview them. But sometimes those flows become a little bit cumbersome when you actually think about like how's the person actually using the product. And so I've been thinking a lot about that kind of stuff too, like being able to, I don't know, to shortcut some of those paths that people want to go down to actually use the product.
But yeah, I feel your pain on the additional complexity that gets presented there.
Right.
It's like you start off with this sort of clean mental model of a list view and then an edit view and then a preview and all this stuff. And it all feels nice. And then someone's like, well, it'd be nice if I could save a couple clicks by directly going from this to this. Or if this function kind of like this over here. It's like, okay, now we're muddying the waters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like sometimes I think those things are worth doing, but other times if you don't, like if you haven't experienced the same pain that other people have and you see that thing there, it just is confusing and like, why are there multiple paths to achieve the same thing? And it's tricky.
You and I had this debate, or sort of a bunch of us had this like semi-debate on Twitter a while back about your positioning. And like, is the personalization like and the power dynamic thing of sending a scheduling link, is that the true value prop of SavvyCal, or is it more around this is actually just a more powerful, more pleasant way of doing this thing? And I was in the camp that it's the latter. And I feel like that's just continuing. Like the other day, I wanted to send a one-off link to somebody, which I could do, and then I wanted to like force. I had like a calendar event that was blocking some time, and I was like, well, if this person wants that, I'll move that thing. So like set that as available, even though there's an event there. And like you had that force allow function, and it's just like, to me, it feels like you are the power tool. Like when I want to do something really funky, it's got like the thing, the knobs are there. You could say, no, like I want to stick with, like, to me, it feels like that taking on that complexity might be congruent with how I think of you personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, there's power tool. There's also just the better product experience, better UX, that's like sort of been a focus. And I think it would have been hard for me to use that positioning early on when I was like a pretty limited feature set tool. There's a lot of table stakes things that I didn't have implemented, but I was trying to zero in on this one specific pain point and try to use that as the hook, And I think it's still what the part that gives me pause about like changing the positioning totally is like, one, I don't know if I have enough volume to truly like split test and see like what is the impact of changing some of this. Corey and I were actually just having a conversation about this. Like maybe we'll experiment with some like headline changes, but I am leery that like, given my traffic volume, will I be able to get a statistically significant result in a meaningful amount of time? I'm not sure. So there's that kind of floating around in my head, but also like, I do hear you that I think we have caught up on a lot of the kind of features where, we can really say like we're just as powerful as the big players, and we actually have a better UX, and you're gonna enjoy using this product more.
Which is ridiculous for what it's worth.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you just single-handedly did that. Ridiculous.
I know. It kind of, yeah. I've also noticed like I played around with a little, just kind of devious little ad campaign. Just late a couple nights ago, I was just sitting around on my computer and I was trying to think of a way to set SavvyCal apart from the rest of the field in a really clean way. And when I look around at the landscape, there are a lot of tools popping up that are trying to get in the scheduling space. I think especially when Calendly kind of did their little roadshow a year ago and everyone realized just how much revenue they bring in, like everyone's like kind of, there's blood in the water, right? But I look around at what other tools are doing, and honestly, there's a lot of like cloning of Calendly. Like literally, like they're just they're just unabashedly stealing the interface, and like maybe they have square corners instead of rounded corners or something, but it's basically the same. And unlike, I feel like SavvyCal is one of the only ones that's actually trying to do it differently. Like we have this calendar interface, and we have the overlay feature, and there's just a million other things that we've chosen to rethink and try to improve upon. One iteration of this is just like a little graphic that I just put in the abstract, the Calendly interface, which can honestly describe, 90% of the other tools out there. I was like, if you're still doing it like this, you can do better. If your links still look like this, you can do better. So I don't know. There might be some like, I don't know, this probably wouldn't be like homepage fodder necessarily, but maybe some kind of push on a landing page or something to speak to like, yeah, this is kind of generally speaking what the other tools do, and it's suboptimal in these very specific ways.
I feel like you could, I'm picturing this like marketing video like shot in like black and white with like an old timey reel of like some pioneer sending out a Calendly link, and then we flash forward to the SavvyCal future.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, preposterous that you pulled this off, but yeah, I mean, I feel like going more directly on the like, yeah, it's actually just better. You should use it because it's better. Here are the ways we're more sophisticated, or why the experience is tighter or cleaner, or lets you do things that you can't do. And I think it's just leaning into that. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. It's taken a while for me to get comfortable with like, I don't know, I have kind of that engineer bias towards like sort of underselling what we have, and I can always, I know the flaws, and it's hard for me to confidently go after that. But I know a lot of companies that are kind of more sales and marketing driven from the founder level, and like they're just like they're on the side of overselling, and you don't want to do that, but they probably are pulling in more money, because they're like being more aggressive with that. So I think we could definitely be more aggressive about trying to stress that,
Yeah, I think humility in this case is going to be a bit overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you will probably tend to be a bit too humble about what you've made.
Probably, yeah.
But it sounds like that's a thing for Corey to work on.
Yeah, there have been times where I'm like, he's reaching out to somebody to specifically make an ask on like, will you do a review of the product and post it on your really popular YouTube channel? And like, I can almost not bring myself to watch these videos. It's funny because I'm just like, they're going to run into something that I know it's like, I want to improve that thing. And they're just walking through it on the video. But I did watch one that came out recently. I was actually at the end of it, felt pretty proud of like, no, he's like legitimately very happy with the tool and keeps pointing out things that are kind of mind blowing to him, or like, oh, this is so much better than what I've used before. And
nice. So that's great. Yeah, I empathize with that. The idea of watching someone do a full walkthrough review of Tuple sounds like a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Which is crazy because I know it's good. It's like it's. I know both these things are true.
Yep, exactly.
There's a bunch of things that could be better, and also it's good. And we just gotta keep going. Yep. Fortunately, we keep hiring good people and making good progress. And the nice thing is, like, it's funny to me. I think because I'm the product owner, like it always feels slow. It's like, I wish we had done so much more this last quarter. Or like, wish we'd shipped this. And like, there's a bunch of things. Like, my list of things I want to improve is just basically only growing. I have seen a number of times, like people commenting, saying like, "Oh, I signed up for Tuple again. You've improved it so much over the last year." Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, thank goodness. It feels like we're not standing still, but from my perspective, it doesn't feel like that all the time. So
yeah, totally. I mean, when you're just, your scope of view is like, you're so much in the, the making of the tool that it's hard to have that perspective of the, the person who hasn't seen it for a while, or the person who's just a happy user and like feels like things are getting better all the time. Which is probably how a lot of your customers feel, but they don't necessarily email you every week and tell you that. And, and you're not feeling that same thing because all you're seeing is the things that are broken or need to get improved.
And we're looking at the future. Like, so I'm always just kind of like, okay, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Yeah. And like, what are the other problems also? Like, it's not just like, hey, is the product improving, but like there's a whole company we're trying to build here too.
Yeah.
So like there's a whole bunch of challenges related to that aren't even visible to the outside world so much.
Right. And like, honestly, I think as a product person, your job is to take on like the pains that your customers have that you're trying to solve. Like, your job is to empathize with those things and like take those things on. So, and none of us have like fully solved all of our customers' problems. And so we always have this kind of underlying sense of like, we need to make things better so that we can improve the lives of our customers, you know? And I feel like it is a blind spot if you were to like sit back and say like, no, you know what? Actually, we're good. We solved it all. Then that's when the product stops improving and stops growing, you know?
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's right. That's a good point. Like it's part of the job. Like caring. Like that's like the right mindset, I think.
Yeah.
Like when I see a bad call report come in and it's like something that we could have prevented or improved on, it's like, yeah, it's kind of my responsibility to note that and have some empathy for it and want to fix it.
Yep.
Otherwise, I shouldn't be in charge.
Can
you like? It wouldn't actually feel good. I think it wouldn't actually feel good, but like there's this like seductive thing of like, what if you did just stop caring? What if you were just like, okay, we hit a certain revenue level. I don't care if it keeps growing. We're going to like just barely keep it running, put it in maintenance mode and just like have the chillest life possible.
Yeah. I feel like
it would take a long time. Like it would last a long time. Like
sure.
At this point we could ride this wave for quite a while. Years, I think.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not actually going to do this. Don't worry. And like, don't actually want to. But like, I could imagine just that, like, if you just made that conscious decision that like, no, we're just going to like squeeze the last juice out of this slowly. How relaxing that might be.
I know. Well, I think in reality for driven people like you and me, it would be not a single moment would be relaxing of it.
No, I know it would actually feel terrible.
Yeah.
That's not actually what would make me feel good, but I can.
But I think also, when a lot of times people talk about, you know, passive income or like trying to autopilot things, I think there are definitely some people who, you know, think that sounds like an ideal state to be in, like, never having to actually improve upon anything and money just rolls in. But to me, that sounds so precarious. That sounds like, even if it were theoretically possible, I would be like, you mean if I'm not doing anything to improve things? Like,
yeah, certainly eventually the market comes along and destroys you.
Yep.
It's an interesting like mind exercise. Like if I am at like when would we cross below 5K MRR if we just only shipped updates that were strictly required to make it work with the newest Mac OS?
Yeah.
How many years would that take?
I
don't know.
But
I think instead I want the engine to keep turning faster.
Yep.
And make the product better.
I think that's more fun. That's the right answer.
Yep. Cool. Well, anything else?
One little story about one little mini rant about time zones, because I'm in the calendar business, so I should. You're under quota of time zone rants for someone that's what I feel like. Yeah.
So hit me.
I am. So it's been on my list to like revamp our time zone control, the little selector that lets you choose a time zone for a while. It's so frustrating to me that like there's the time zone database that is like sort of the canonical. It's the Olsen database, I think is what they call it, and it's in the like Unicode standard or whatever. And it's like the way we describe time zones or the way we define them. And there's 500 and something of them in the world.
What?
And
really?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yep.
Wow. That was a lot more than I would have guessed.
Yep. And some of them are duplicate, basically. Like, so there are these mappings that exist that are like kind of the canonical. Here's the canonical one, and here are aliases, and that brings it down to like 338, I think.
Okay. I would guess there were like 30 or like 40 or something.
Well, there should be if these like nations could just agree, like if we're on this band of like the globe, we should all just agree, like we can go to war over other things maybe, but let's agree that like our time zone should be this. Yeah. So, but no, there's no agreement. And, like some just random like county in the middle of Arizona could just decide like, we're not doing daylight savings anymore. And then suddenly like this whole database has to get updated and everyone has to like, update their system to reflect it. And it's crazy. So there's a whole like kind of time series database of like changes that have happened over time. And I've perused through it and it's insane. It's like, and there's little comments in there like, well, this one, like this country got overthrown. And so now they're in like this different time zone and yada, yada, yada. It's crazy. But it presents a lot of challenges because one, like the Olson database we've all probably seen the identifiers. It's like America/Chicago, it's like kind of the way time zones are labeled, but nobody knows them by those names. It's like in the United States, we're used to, U.S. Central Time or Pacific Time or Mountain Time. But there's like not a clear definition about what those things actually are. Like when your browser auto detects what time zone you're in, it doesn't return back a string that says Central Time or, Eastern Time. It gives back an Olson time zone. And then, if you're on the East Coast, it's very likely going to be New York, but there might be other, there are multiple other ones in that area that are in the Olson database. Maybe they have slightly different daylight savings rules or whatever. It gets real challenging real fast to like it's one thing to special case some of these time zones in the United States, but then I become very aware that like the United States is just one small part of the rest of the world. And so even if I like, yeah, I know, right? So like, even if I special case United States time zones, it's kind of just leaving the rest of the world. Like, what do I do? Just put the Olson time zone in there because it's like, well, I don't know what's going on in Europe. So you guys just get this like these names that don't make any sense to you, and like, it's impossible for me to become an expert on how everyone in every locale refers to their local time zone. So I've been searching and searching, trying to find like, is there some database that gives me like, insert an Olson time zone and get back out a name like U.S. Eastern Time or something like that. And I finally like made this obscure discovery in a Unicode. It's the Unicode CLDR, something like that.
TLDR?
Not TLDR.
Okay.
Common something. And it's like the one that's used for predominantly like rules around translations and locale specific things. And there's an XML file in this like repository.
Oh, I bet there is.
There's a lot of XML, lots of violent XML that contains time zones from the Windows operating system, and they like maintain this like list. And I think Windows has been doing time zones since before all this stuff was standardized, so there's a lot of legacy there, and they used a lot of names that we're all more familiar with for time zones. So I found like this random file, and it was like impossible to Google for this thing. Like, I don't even know how I stumbled across it. It was like a series of 10 different blog posts, and finally one pointed me in this direction. It basically has a mapping of like, it condenses the Olson time zones down even further. And it's like, this is the canonical one. And then here's like 10 other ones that are basically identical. And we'll call this Eastern Time. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. So it was a really nice breakthrough to find that. And then I have some other improvements in store for this thing. So that was improvement number one, was to like condense this down into names that people recognize easier, and add search capability on the little control too, so you can like whittle it down easier. And then I was talking to Michelle Hansen, who has Geocodio, and because she knows a thing or two about geocoding and places in the world, right? Programmatically dealing with them.
And sales, by the way.
Yeah, she's very multi-talented.
Great enterprise sales tips.
Very nice. Yeah. Just authored a new book on talking to customers. She's making moves. So anyways, I was talking to her, and she pointed me in the direction of like 2 different tools I can use in tandem that will basically allow me to implement location search. So like someone can type, what I really want is like, if I'm trying to give you times in your time zone, I don't necessarily know what the name of your time zone is, especially if you're somewhere in Europe. Like I won't know the name that you use for it necessarily. But if I know you live in London or you live in Berlin, then if I could just type in like Berlin and it immediately gives me back the time zone of the city that you live in, then that seems optimal. And so that's what I'm also going to be adding very soon, is like in the search box, it'll either search kind of the list of time zone names, or it'll just show like results for cities matching what you just typed in. And if you click on the city, then it'll just automatically populate the correct time zone.
You know what this sounds like to me?
What?
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there are a lot of programmers that have to deal with this type of problem, and it took you a lot of time and work to come up with a decent solution, and you're not even done yet. And it was hard to find and hard to Google for. It's like, could be a nice little micro business for somebody, I think. Like tremendously good date and time libraries with these nice affordances already done and all the obnoxious time zone deduplication figured out and all that, with some maybe some pre-written JavaScript for you or components and whatnot to drop in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that like it's pretty crazy when you look around at, it's like, are there other language frameworks that have like a better solution for this, the old like time zone drop down problem? And it is decently unsolved. Like, it's pretty crazy. So,
yeah. Plus, if someone implements you in their app, no one ever wants to go back and change this.
Oh, no.
Like if you develop some sort of SaaS thing, like we'll keep on top of these date time changes or whatever time zone things and keep you up to date and whatever and push out bug fixes and all that. Never would you say, you know what we should do is go swap out our time zone handling code.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a low churn product, I think.
Mm-hmm. That is a great point.
So anyway, free business idea.
Yep.
If the idea of wrangling the obnoxious real world for your customers sounds good. That's the thing, though. It's like that's where the good businesses are.
Right.
There's a scary schleps.
Schlep factor in there, yep. Mm-hmm. But it could be pretty valuable.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, it's nice that you've at least dug the moat for yourself.
Yeah, for now. It's like, and I would love to, like, it'd be interesting to potentially open source this kind of thing, but like, I also don't really have time to like, I don't feel like I have time to allocate to like packaging this up as like some kind of open source library or something right now, but maybe someday.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus then, yeah. I mean, it's once you've dug the moat, it's kind of hard to.
I kind of want the moat.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
It's like we want to contribute upstream to like WebRTC and whatnot, and we've done some of that. Or like write blog posts about how we solve this thorny thing, but it's also like, yeah, but sometimes you don't want to share the hard work you've done.
Yep, exactly. So it's a careful balance to strike.
All right. Well, shall we wrap?
Let's wrap it.
All right. Notes of the show.
Notes of the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.